In this video we are going to talk about how to set up constrained delegation for Hyper-V in order to make live migrations remotely. And if you have arrived at this video, you either already have seen this error, or maybe you're lucky and you see the video before getting to the error. But basically, when you try to live migrate a VM and you are not directly on the host that has that VM, you will most likely see this error pop up. So let's see a more detailed explanation of why this would happen. And this of course happens because Active Directory has a security feature that does not let your credentials pass from one server to another more than 2 hops. So if you are on your computer and you connect with Hyper-V Manager to a Hyper-V server, that's the first hop. Your credentials will not be able to do a second hop to another server from that Hyper-V. And this error will also happen if you log on to a Hyper-V server and then you use Hyper-V Manager to connect to another Hyper-V server and try to live migrate from that one to the one that you are on, because your credentials will try to be passed from one to another, and at some point this will fail. So that was the problem. Let's also see the solution. And in this video I will present the solution that is actually the secure one, because there's also one that is less secure, which I will not cover. And the way to make this work is using Active Directory Constrained Delegation. So basically with this, each Hyper-V host will trust the other one for passing its credential when live migrations happen. And this can be done with PowerShell or from the graphical tools. And in this video we are going to configure the delegation so that we allow only the SIVs and Microsoft Virtual System Migration Service to be able to delegate the credentials. So with delegation you can also specify the actual service that can delegate these credentials, not only the machine, which is a step more in the best practices for security, of course. So before we continue and actually set up delegation, let's see a graphical representation of why and how this error can happen. Okay, so let's see the first scenario. You have your PC on which you have RSAT installed, and you use the server manager, the Hyper-V Manager, to connect to HV1. And of course this means that you will present your credentials. You are authenticated and everything works. On HV1 you have a virtual machine and you would like to migrate it to HV2. Now HV1 of course will try to connect to HV2 with your credentials, and seeing as this will be the second hop of your credentials in this exchange, Active Directory will say no, this is not allowed. And this is the end of the road. You can't perform your migration in this way, because you just connected remotely to a server. You can't also connect in a chain to the second server without delegation. And now here's the second scenario, in which you have two Hyper-V servers. HV2 hosts the VM that you want to migrate, but for some reason you are logged on to HV1. So you really are logged on to this server. You open Hyper-V Manager and connect to HV2. And this, of course, this works. And now from HV1 you have a connection to HV2. You see the VM and you want to try to migrate it. Now when you do this, of course, HV2 using your credentials will try to contact HV1 it doesn't know the context that we are in. So it will try to do this. It will try again to use your credentials to go to HV1, which again Active Directory will say no, you are not permitted, and we are again blocked. These are the two scenarios in which for sure you will need to configure Active Directory Constrained Delegation. And let's move on to the code. So then, now I'm on my domain controller. Let's begin and actually set up delegation. First, I will want to create a test VM on my Hyper-V host. And it's created. Now we can exit from PowerShell remoting. And before we configure delegation, let's actually try to perform a live migration to make sure that it really doesn't work. So from my domain controller, I connected using Hyper-V Manager to HV01, and I will try to migrate the machine to HVS01. We use move. This is correct. We have to specify the server, HVS01. We have to specify what we will want to move, and the folder on the destination server where we want the machine to be moved. Let's select this folder. And this is the error that you should receive, which is normal. Now we cancel. Let's configure constrained delegation and then we will try again. So since everything that we need to do is done in Active Directory, we are on the perfect server for this, on the domain controller. And these are the commands to configure constrained delegation on HV01 to trust HVS01, and the same for HVS01 to trust HV01. Let's run all of these commands. And the fastest way that we can test is by restarting the hosts, so a new Kerberos ticket is created with the new permissions. After the machines have restarted, now our live migration should work. Let's try again. Move. HVS01. Let's give it the destination folder. And I hope it works. It should work. And you see that now the machine has moved on HVS01. So our constrained delegation settings worked. If you liked the video, then please leave a like and share it. Also consider subscribing if you're not subscribed, so you can see when I put out new videos. And thanks a lot for watching.